This may be the typical countryside experience in Japan for most people. This is ours.
It was magical. It was
It's a place my husband Jon and I visit every year across the Pacific in a small town on the southern coast of Japan. And we ride a 100-mile route across 6 bridges and 7 islands. Far from the bustle of Osaka and Tokyo, and miles away from the crowded tourist hotspots, there's a sleepy little town tucked along the coast in Japan's Hiroshima prefecture. This charming town is home to scenic ocean views that feel like a painting come to life. Cyclists from around the world flock to this laid-back and picturesque destination to ride what will surely be the most beautiful route in Japan. This cycling haven is called Onomichi, and the route is the Shimanami Kaido. Every spring, Jon and I return to Onomichi, our hearts full of anticipation. What began 10 years ago as a spontaneous cycling adventure turned into a tradition that anchors us year after year. Back then, we stumbled upon the U2 Hotel Cycle, drawn in by its cyclist-friendly charm, and soon found ourselves following the painted blue line of the Shimanami Kaido, across bridges and islands we couldn't believe were real. Every year brings a new adventure. We ride to reconnect, to feel the rhythm of this place that somehow stays the same even as we change. Onomichi has quietly become part of our story. It's such a special place to us that Jon proposed on the route with the sun setting over the Enoshima Bridge. And every time we come back, it feels a little like coming home. This year's new adventure was sharing our little fortress of solitude with the Unlikely Peloton crew and a couple of friends. We came equipped with Ritchey Breakaway bikes. These bikes break apart during packing and allowed us to avoid oversized airline luggage fees. Setup took a few hours, and then we were ready for what lied ahead. During the week-long stay in Onomichi, we had several amazing rides. Although Jon and I have been here a dozen times, it feels like a fresh new place with our crew. Even the sound of the wood planks drumming beneath our wheels seemed more alive, as if to cheer us on as we headed out each day. And every time we boarded the ferry to the first island, Mukaishima, Jon and I quietly hoped our friends would fall in love with this place the way we had. After the ferry, we'd always follow the blue line through the town and see the first glimpse of the journey ahead, the Enoshima Bridge. And on almost every ride, Josh would call out Jon's and my most memorable spot.
And I'm gonna say it one more time. This is where Jon proposed to his wife. It was magical, it was beautiful, and it was wonderful.
Getting up to the bridges wasn't as hard as I remembered in previous years. The climbs are about a 3% average grade, ranging from a half mile to about 2.5 miles. It's not brutal, but if I weren't warmed up, I'd be suffering. We trained for climbs like this at home, so I settled into a rhythm and kept the cadence smooth. I actually enjoyed these Shimanami Kaido climbs. Previous ones were definitely not as effortless. And even though Jon and Josh took the lead, at least I wasn't too far behind. As we came upon my favorite bridge, the Tatara Bridge, it reminded me of past years when I hadn't trained very much. Back then, this bridge would serve as our turnaround point at the Hiroshima-Ehime Prefecture borderline. It was such a great mid-ride landmark and a stunning visual break that lifted our spirits. The views of the majestic bridge were so spectacular. The climb was especially sweet, passing lemon and orange orchards. and the view just gets better along the way. The best part about reaching the other side of any of these bridges is the uninterrupted descents.
Then break you out. In the end, we gon' make the child. Then we gon' hit the show. Part 2, we don't need no pause. Misty, we gon' get tipsy, need a power slide.
Copy my steel. Face the fact that ain't no cap, I'm real. No cap, I'm real. The plastic bars from a copy my steel. Copy my steel. Face the fact that ain't no cap, I'm real. No cap, I'm real. The plastic bars from a copy my steel.
Got my heart, no.
One of the things that made our rides truly unforgettable was how rest stops became part of the adventure. Jon and I were used to the classic kombini pit stop, grabbing a quick onigiri, refilling bottles, and getting back on the road. But riding with Josh and Matt, who have never been to Onomichi or even Japan for that matter, took it up a notch. We had a blast introducing Josh to maple syrup-filled pancakes, watching Matt devour fam chiki smothered between the pancake, as well as getting Matt hooked on citrus mochi. It wasn't just about refueling anymore. It was about soaking it all in. The legendary Kurushima Kaikyo Bridge is the last of 6 bridges in the lineup of the Shimanami Kaido route. The climb to this bridge was just about as long as the bridge itself, at about 2.5 miles. But the views from the triple suspension bridge were breathtaking. It holds a special place in my heart because Jon and I have only been on this bridge once before, at the midway point of my 100-mile ride several years ago. Being on it again with our friends for what will be their first century is another memorable moment I'll truly cherish. One of the things Jon and I love about riding is exploring new places by bike. We took the group through Onomichi's shopping arcade, which is like a time capsule of mid-20th century Japan with an old-timey retro charm. We enjoyed visiting an eclectic mix of shops and hunting for just the right find. Indulging in bakeries like Mr. Donut and The Little Mermaid was definitely a guilty pleasure for Jon and me. We usually steer clear of ultra-processed foods, but something about Japan lowers our guard in the best way. Maybe it's the nostalgia, maybe it's the perfectly soft mochi donuts, but whatever it is, we can't resist. In a stark contrast to the arcade, we explored the Ushitora Shrine, which is the oldest shrine in Onomichi, boasting a history of over 1,200 years. Tucked quietly into the hillside, the shrine felt worlds away from the buzz of the town. The air was still, and the path led us to a 900-year-old tree near the high den. There was a rare kind of silence that felt both ancient and comforting, and it was heartwarming to see Josh and Matt embracing Japanese culture and enjoying some of its rituals. Just around the corner from the shrine, we found ourselves at the entrance of the Mount Senkoji Ropeway. With our legs pretty toasted from our last ride, we crammed into the elevator to reach the cable car's platform. After a few minutes, we were at the summit overlooking the city we had just explored below, and trying to fully grasp that we had ridden through those very streets, across the island and into the distant fading outline of the mountains beyond. There were no maps or GPS. We merely followed the painted blue line for more than 100 miles. Every year, Jon and I have followed that line across the bridges, through quiet towns and citrus orchards. And this year, we had the best time rediscovering it with our friends. The blue line, although cracked in places and faded by time, still leads the way, steady and comforting. It's more than just a guide for Jon and me. It's the quiet constant as everything else around us shifts. No 2 years have been the same. From the high of riding a century to the low of struggling through a mere 50 miles. to the unforgettable Enoshima Bridge proposal. This route has held all of it. Each year, the route may be the same, but the journey is not. And that's why we'll always come back.